Welcome into another episode of House Rules. Really an unbelievable bucket list item today to have the one, the only Dave Portnoy with us today. So, Dave, really appreciate you taking this time, man.
Of course, especially on game week.
I feel like this might be like hey, I'm going to go distract Rhule for a couple hours. He's like, I'll do it at noon.
Listen, middle of the day. On a Tuesday, Biff probably has him in the locker room getting ready to roll. So anything I can do to distract you.
I literally just came off the field and ran upstairs. I have shorts on. I put my Bud Crawford shirt on. We got to represent Bud, but I still got my shorts on. I don't have pants, like dress pants or anything. So this is the best I can do. So I do appreciate it. I know it's an exciting week. So Michigan. So obviously we know we all hear about your love for Michigan, but I know you went to school there. Like, did that predate showing up to school? Is that always been your place, or was it just going to school there that grew that?
It definitely wasn't like a thing I grew up with. But my sister was a senior when I was a freshman, so I visited her in high school. And my family now probably had like 10 years of going to Michigan. But if she didn't get into Michigan and she went somewhere else, I'm not sure I would have ended up there. So it was not like something I grew up being like, oh, my God, I got to go to Michigan. It started really when she went there, and then I followed.
I went to Penn State. I grew up like a Penn Stater. And it was funny, when I grew up, there was, Pitt, Penn State, Notre Dame. There was no, Penn State, Michigan rivalry. To think Nebraska, Michigan, 100 years ago, that was just so far outside there. But, I'll never forget, Dave, we went to Penn State, we went to Michigan, and we beat them in 1996, 38-6. Curtis Enos had a great day, and we're stuck on the bus after the game. Lloyd Carr's the coach, and we're trying to get out, and the radio's on, and they are ripping Lloyd Carr. They're like, they should fire him. They should this. They should that. If he was and the next year he won the national championship. So I've seen, obviously I've seen Michigan at the big house.
Yeah, listen, I'm truthful. I was calling for Harbaugh's head. When we were in the down spin, I was not happy with him, and obviously he turned it around and won a national championship. So fans can get fickle, no doubt about that.
It's a tremendous history. A lot of my friends in Philly, when I was in Philly for 10 years, both as an assistant coach and as a head coach, a lot of my friends are they went to Michigan and they are diehard fans. I'm talking about my best friends. They'll text me this week and they'll say, hey, rooting for you every week, but this one. It's a loyal fan base. Outside from your job, do you ever get back there? Do you ever get to go watch them play live? I know you do a lot of sports, but are you able to do that very often?
Yeah, we've been doing our college football show for years. So we generally go Ohio State, Michigan, we've been there for that. I've seen some Michigan State games there. I'm only there though, on game weekends when they're playing for the most part. I don't get there back to hang out, but we do get Michigan, as I'm sure aware, has been the kingpin of the Big Ten now for a little bit. So they've had a lot of big games, and I'm able to get back there for big games.
No doubt. So you're there as a student, and you were an education major. What kind of student were you?
I was a student that had to figure out how to graduate by using every trick in my book. So when I applied to Michigan, I got denied. I applied to the liberal arts school. They wrote back a letter, said, no, you're not going to get in. But we think you'd be a great nurse. I don't know what they saw in me. I pass out at the sight of blood. But I called my sister, and I said, hey, if I go in nursing, can I just transfer once I'm in? She's like, yeah, once you're in, it's pretty easy to maneuver about the school. So I went as a nurse, transferred to liberal arts. Liberal arts, you needed a language. You had to pass language to get your degree. I couldn't do that. So I looked at the education school, no language requirement, and that's where I went. So I was just bumping around, snake it till you make it.
I love that. So, obviously, I'm not this huge podcaster. You're really one of the first people that I don't really know, other than just to know you online. For all the people out there that we follow you, we see you on Barstool, we see obviously the empire you've built. Who are you with the camera off? What are your interests? What are the things that you're passionate about besides just the business side or the stuff we see?
I think part of the magic of Barstool is most people who follow me, I'm pretty unfiltered and give it a good look. But I love horse racing. And I'm either betting on horse racing or I'm watching TV or laying at the beach. That's pretty much what I do. People ask, is my persona a character? You know, there's certain things I probably wouldn't do if it wasn't for content. Would I went and protested Tom Brady and gotten thrown in jail if it wasn't part of Barstool? No. Was I still really mad about the suspension and thought it was unfair? Yes. So, you know, it's a little bit exaggerated possibly, but it's for the most part me. What you see is what you get.
You know, I get home late at night, you know, I got to keep the marriage fresh. You know, like, hey, Julie, give me one show that you're passionate about right now. Anything that I should try?
On TV?
Yeah.
I feel like we're in a little bit of a down cycle on things I watch. I know the Terminal List just came out. I love season 1 and 2 of that. That's essentially, you know, it's like a kind of CIA-ish movie. But just like for you, Coach, this is the busy season for me.
No doubt.
Like where I'm traveling with you guys. I'm on Big Noon now, so every weekend I'm traveling to different cities, seeing them play. We have the new show on Fox Sports 1, so I have to watch and kind of know as much as I can about as much. So it's a busy time. Like once football starts, that's busy season.
All right, so you know what? If you don't mind, the interview's been great, but I'm going to take a quick break. Hand me that, please. Thanks, bro. I don't know if you guys use Chomps. I got put on a Chomps not too long ago by actually the dietitian who's kind of helped me as I've lost these 40 or 50 pounds, and they're elite. I have them everywhere. I have them at home. I have them here in the office. I have them down in my locker. And here's why: every stick has at least 10 grams of protein. The turkey ones here, they have 12 and no sugar. I mean, a lot of times you eat these things, there's sugar everywhere, but I love them. So I would just tell you guys, this is not some sales thing. This is something that has helped me a ton. I hope it can help you if you're interested in. If interested, go to chomps.com/rules15 or use code rules15 to get 15% off your Chomps order and free shipping. That's rules15 for 15% off Chomps and free shipping. This one's mine. Get your own. How was the Big Noon Fox? How's that been for you? Like, obviously, that's premier content, right? That's a premier spot. How has that experience been with those guys? They seem like great guys.
I love it. Now, there's a fellow coach in your conference who, from what I've heard, is not a fan of me and my brand. I'm not going to say his name, but it rhymes with tie-in hay. And so I was banned from the shoe week 1, which, by the way, is great for me. Like, It creates a WWE environment, and our people get it. But the people on the panel and the show, Urban all the way down, awesome. So it's been a ton of fun. And so we were there. We were at Iowa State, which I thought was superb. I wish we could go to the game this weekend. It's not a Fox game, so we're going to be out in Utah, which I've never been. But it's been great. It's been a fun experience.
If you get it, so it's Texas Tech, Utah. That's going to be a heck of a game. Texas Tech, that head coach, Joey McGuire, he was a legendary high school coach in Texas, and I got the Baylor job, and I hired him. I met him at an IHOP, and he had turned down everyone, and I convinced him to come work for me. You'd love him. I mean, he is a guy's guy. He is, at the core, he's a guy, type of guy you'd want to go have a beer with. You'd want to hang out with. So I think obviously we have a big game, but that'll be a great game.
I think that's going to be a great game, and I love going to different cities that I haven't been in, college towns. That's part of the fun of doing it. So we've never been in Salt Lake, never been in Utah. I've heard nothing but great things about it. Obviously, Urban coached there, so he's been talking it up. But I'm excited to see it.
And obviously, I'm a football coach, but I look at like trying to build organizations and what you've done. It's like Pat Stewart works for me. Pat was with the Patriots for years, and he always tells a story about like being on a tee and getting the original Barstool when it was in paper form. Like, what was like the tipping point for you? Like, what was like that moment you're like, hey, this is about to blow up? And how did you make that happen?
We just kept grinding for a long time. We've been around for 20 plus years, so it's certainly not an overnight success. The first time I was like, we may have something, we had only been in downtown Boston, and we did a college tour. We went to URI, UMass, schools around Boston, and when we showed up, it was like the Beatles arrived. Like the kids had signs hanging, and it was the first time. It was like, I may have something here that's a little bigger than I thought. That was around 2010. I started around 2004. But we weren't really making money for the first 10 years of doing this thing.
You're elite at finding talent, and I think like like for me, like it was early on, I was able to hire the guys I knew I came up in coaching with. And now, I've just turned 50. And I'm trying to hire, 25-year-old coaches who can recruit. And it's hard to find them. But like you look at the, whether it's, KFC or PFT Comment, like all the guys that you've recognized, how do you do that? Like what's the secret sauce?
I didn't see those with the two names. If you said you were going to throw out two names at me, those wouldn't have been it. KFC and PFD Commenter, both great. But I mean, if you look at, we use it as a coaching tree. I mean, we've had McAfee, obviously, yep. Compton, Alex Cooper. We've had big stars. It's a little different. We don't, in a way, like coach, if you have great people around, Caleb Presley, you're going to be successful. So we've hired really talented people, and we let them do their thing. We don't really interfere. Also, Barstool came around early internet. So I wasn't from the network world. So I had a different view on how we were going to do everything. And that helped because we were willing to try stuff. We'd hire people that networks, like Pat's a good example, McAfee. No networks would touch him. Like when he came out done with the Colts, we hired him. It's like, we don't care, no experience, whatever. He's a funny, talented guy. Let him do his thing. Even like Will and Taylor. They get hired after they come through our doors a lot of times, but they don't get them right off the bat because they're like, well, who are they? We don't know what to do. We just let them do their thing. And we've had really good, talented people.
I was going to save Will because obviously, we've gotten to know him here really well, and he's been very loyal to us. But like, what was it about that? Like, what was it you saw in them, and what do you think makes him successful?
So they were doing the podcast that we thought was very funny, the bus, and when we saw it. So we reached out like, hey, we can put some gasoline on it. Will's super talented. He reminds me in a degree of McAfee. He also has, when you have these NFL guys, the Taylor Compton who's made tens of millions, and then you have the Will Compton who's still trying to feed his family. That helps in this world because this career that he's launched, that he's going to make way more money he already has doing this than he ever did playing football. But he's a funny, humble guy who works really hard. You can make fun of. He's one of my favorite guys we've had. I've loved, being honest, holding this Nebraska thing over him. I sent him already. I saw a clip saying they're going to let Bryce Underwood run wild, use his legs finally, and I just sent a picture of him with a shocked face. So this Nebraska thing he's had going, and we've been at a couple games with him. Nobody bleeds red more than him. And I'm going to tell you, Coach, you guys haven't given him many winning moments since we've had him. He's been on the low end of the stick here, taking a beating, which I love. So I hope it stays that way.
Well, I hope not.
I know you don't.
It's funny. I had just gotten fired in Carolina, and you get fired, and all of a sudden, you still got to take your kids to school. So I'm literally sitting at the bus to pick up my two daughters, and I'm in my car, and I get a call from Matt Ioannidis, and him and Will are like this. Yeah. And he's asking me all these questions. He's playing for the Panthers. He's like, hey, what do you think about Nebraska? And I'm like, and I coached Matt in college. So I'm like, why are you asking me so much about Nebraska, bro? And he was like, well, I'm checking in for Will. And at the time, I knew who Will was. And I had watched Bussin', but and I remember getting the job and being like, hey, I'm going to be in Nashville. I'm going to go recruit. And then I'm on that bus, and they're asking me questions, and I'm like, oh, gosh, am I going to get in trouble for answering this? I mean, as you know, the questions can get a little over here. And you're trying to be like the college. But to your point, he's been so loyal. And so we're going to keep trying to build it for him. And for all the guys.
I can't tell. Well, we got to ask at one point because we were at the Nebraska game. Michigan smoked you guys. There was the national championship year. And he's like, you're coming in with me. And we were walking into the stadium. And he couldn't get me in. They're like, no, you're not allowed. I wasn't allowed in Nebraska either at that time. So I've given him some crap about that. Maybe it's just me. My reputation precedes me. But, yeah.
No.
It's been fun. It's been fun for they got the Bussin' Bowl obviously coming up. But it's been fun.
It was last year when we beat Colorado. Taylor came in too, and I was like, yeah, Taylor, it's okay to celebrate a Nebraska win, bro. This is a big win for us. We just beat Coach Prime. I mean, we needed that win. So
yeah, and Nebraska, like you said, that is not a historic rival of Michigan's because you guys are obviously in a different conference.
That's right.
And I've said I love Lincoln. I loved it when I was there. I thought the people were great. I loved the vibe. I loved everything about it. So for the most part, I do root for Nebraska unless you're playing us. It's not an Ohio State or a Michigan State situation where, I'm hoping you get your face stomped in every time you play. I have nothing against Nebraska. I think Nebraska, a great Nebraska, and this is stereotypical, is great for the Big Ten.
There's no doubt. I think that's the one unique thing now, like, as you start talking about, like, the CFP and, 12 teams and whatever, like, you really got to root for your own league, because if you try to tear down your own league, then everyone else is going to do it. Like, I took some heat last year. I took some heat from Paul Feinbaum when I talked to, you think about this, because you're a football guy. Like, look at every level of football. There's an advantage. The teams that win and win championships play in cold weather usually. So you think about the last couple of years, the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Chiefs. It's 18 degrees in the playoff game, minus 18 against the Dolphins. The Bills, obviously the Patriots. You got to go be able to build your team to win when it's cold. Then you go down to FCS, okay? You talk about Montana, North Dakota State. Division I football is the only one that plays all of their playoff postseason stuff in warm weather. Doesn't happen in the NFL. It doesn't happen in FCS. So now that we're going to the CFP model, and at least there's a couple home games, like Notre Dame last year, and there's snow on the ground. It's an advantage for the Michigans, the Ohio States, the Nebraskas, the teams that are in cold weather, because you can build your team to win all, the early part of the season. You got to be able to win when it's cold out. And that's, we've not done that for a long time.
That was an all-time NFL, like the dome teams that have to go play in cold weather in the playoffs.
Right.
It's a huge. And I don't know what warm weather teams now are out there in the top. I mean, the Big Ten has kind of taken over the rankings a little bit, but it's a huge difference. Huge.
No doubt. So you obviously go to a lot of sporting events. What are the best seats in the house? Like, what are the best places what are the best iconic places that you've been to watch something? I went to the Bud Crawford fight. One of the best things I've ever been to.
Well, there's nothing like a prize fight.
Yeah.
There is nothing like a prize fight. So I'm trying to think the biggest prize fight. I've been to a ton of UFC events. I actually saw McGregor Mayweather, like front row, which is that wasn't a true fight. That was more like an exhibition. It was still interesting to see. I've been to a bunch of Super Bowls. I've been blessed with that because I was at the Malcolm Butler game. I was at the 28-3 game. So those events, and similar with like college football, when you get neutral, when you have competing fan bases and you're swaying with the flow of the game, that's a totally different experience for a fan, because you're not sitting at a home game where you're 100,000 of people rooting for the same people. In these big things, it's 50-50, and you feel like you played at the end of it. So that's been amazing. I've been fortunate with Barstool. I've been everything. The Kentucky Derby. I love Army-Navy is absolute one of my favorite events. I get chills at the beginning of that game. Once they kick off, it gets a little boring, but the lead in, there's nothing like it. So I've been fortunate. I've been to them all, Final Fours, Worlds. That's one of the beauties of Barstool. We really have, the Indy 500, you name it, we've been to it.
It's funny you say the Army-Navy. When I was the head coach at Temple and they were in Philly, we were at a recruiting week, and I brought my dad and my son, and we went down on the field before the game. And, you have a chance, you've been around a lot more things than me. You have a chance to be at these iconic moments, see these great stars, and you're looking out there, and these guys want to beat each other so badly, and yet that none of them are going to go get paid to play pro football. They're all going to be serving our country. It was, and to your point, until the game started, because then I had to leave and go recruit, it was one of the most amazing, the flyover, the president, just football as it should be played, right?
The quote that sticks out to me from that game, which makes the hair stand up on my arms, which they say, the only game where everybody playing would die for everybody watching, which is true. It's an amazing quote. It's an amazing game. And like you said, you see you're on the field level, the flyovers, the general, it's just... and these guys are going to be going to war or whatever they are. They're fighting on the field, and then they're arm in arm. There is nothing like that game.
I was a new head coach at Baylor. I went to the Super Bowl when Brady brought him back, and I remember like the it was second down or third down play where they sacked Atlanta and got the fumble, and I just remember the feeling. And I'm not rooting for either team. I'm just the new coach at Baylor shaking people's hands, right? And I'm sitting there, and that pit in your stomach of as a coach, oh my gosh, and you just knew there was nothing they could do. I can't imagine being a Patriots fan in that moment, or being a Falcons fan, how devastating that would be. But it was an amazing moment. People say there's no such thing as momentum. They weren't at that game.
Yeah, there's definitely is. And that as a Patriot fan, we had seen that song and dance so many times. And once you start that boulder rolling, it just is like going downhill. Funny story, we printed 28-3 shirts to commemorate it. And I met Matt Ryan's family one time. They're local. And they were like, do you know how many 28-3 signs have been stuck in our front lawn? I felt bad, but not that bad for them. And that a lot of strange play calling. So many plays that if just one thing went the other way, but
just
crazy.
One thing. Yeah, that was one of those games where there was no margin for error in the comeback. If Atlanta makes one more play or the Patriots make one less play, the thing changes. In my press conference this week, I was talking about being at the Crawford fight, and I said the two greatest moments I've ever been to is I was at Game 6 of the '86 Mets Red Sox, and then I was at the 28-3 game.
That's a bad memory for me.
Yeah, and people always talk about the ball going through Buckner's leg. It's a true story. It's '86. I'm 11 years old. My dad's a teacher coach, and he's also a pastor. So he would do chapels for their team. So we got tickets. We're up in the upper deck, and we're losing. And it's kind of how at the end of a game, you're like, hey, let's walk down. Let's watch the rest of it from here, and then we'll walk out. So we're walking out. We get a couple hits. We're on third base. And true story now. People will never believe this. I scream. I'm 11 years old. We got a guy on third. We're down 1 run. I say, how about a wild pitch? Calvin Schiraldi, balls in the dirt. They score. It's my first beer I ever drank. People were picking me up. They were pouring beer down my throat. Two plays later, 2 seconds later, the ball, unfortunately for us, unfortunately for Bill, balls through his legs, and then we went to Game 7. But I know your passion for those teams, but it's amazing. I've been at 2 of them. I'm a New York guy. I'm a Giants Met, and I've been at 2 of those moments.
That was one of my first kind of memories. Oh, well, that's the thing. It's like with the Patriots, you have 9,000. They've been in so many big games. I mean, they ran the franchise for the NFL for 2 years. Everything from the 28-3 game to the Malcolm Butler to me I got dragged out of a Super Bowl when they beat the Rams in handcuffs. So I've had a lot of Patriot moments. The Snow Bowl, Gruden now works for us, so I bust him about that all the time. Celtics have won a championship, but they don't have that defining. They had one big comeback versus the Lakers. The Red Sox obviously down 3-0 versus the Yankees, so that's iconic. And that whole I was in the bleachers the year they won before or lost to the Yankees before that. But I've been blessed, and Barstool. I've been asked many times, do I think Barstool would have been successful if it didn't happen to coincide with the run or rise of Boston sports? We started in 2004. That's almost to a T when Boston went nuts, like Red Sox, Patriots, Celtics, and it played a huge factor. So just very lucky. We're in the right time, and Boston people are so provincial. It's like they take it from one city to another, and it's really played a big factor. I don't know if we would have made it if it wasn't, if it was a different city. I have no idea.
Interesting. I showed our guy, obviously this is my 3rd year. We're trying to, get Nebraska back up and going. And I showed, we've had a lot of close losses, right? So that's kind of like the narratives out there, hey, they, 1-score games. But before this year, it was 4-22. So just some horrific number. And I showed them from the Netflix documentary about when the Red Sox were down 3-0. And when they signed Kurt Schilling, and him saying, everyone talked about the curse. He was like, there was a curse of talent. The reason why we can't beat the Yankees and get over the hump, it's not because there's some curse. It's just, hey, we're not good enough. I'm going to come there, and I'm going to help us. And then, obviously, they did that. And that's kind of was my message to our guys. Hey, it's just become a better team. Play better, coach better. Let's all do everything better. Let's stop talking about curses. And I thought that was one of the most well-done Netflix documentary series is the way they go through everything that happened for the Red Sox to be able to come back and the way they just believed the whole way through. Yeah,
and it is talent. And on that note, my boy there, Willie, he left us. He got a pretty fat deal from FanDuel. Has he opened the checkbook for you guys yet?
He's coming this weekend. I'm having we have a little conversation.
You got to start putting. I know I know when the phone rings for me at Michigan, I know what's coming 2 sentences into the conversation.
That's right.
It almost like, do I want to pick up the call? But Willie's got some money now. Put his money where his mouth is.
That's the name of that. That's the game now, right? I mean, you think about college football. It's not pro football. It's Major League Baseball. There really is no salary cap. I mean, we try to act like there is, but there's no salary cap, right? It's like the Yankees versus the Oakland Athletics. So if you get guys like who are gonna open a checkbook, and we've been blessed. But I appreciate you saying that to me. Now this allows me to have a good segue into how I ask Will for a couple bucks.
He got a big deal. He didn't give us no hometown discount. Oh, I want to stay at Barstool. He chased the money. The least he can do is give a little bit back.
So now, when you came here 2 years ago, you went and did your one bite review. I think you went to Yaya's. I'm a Philly guy. I grew up in New York City, but I was in Philly for 10 years. And you did Tacanelli's. I don't know if you probably don't remember these moments, but that you gave him like an 8.1.
Yeah, Tacanelli's is great.
Yeah, here's what it did. I think the best. I'm a New York City guy, but I think the best pizza's in New Haven. I think it's in Connecticut. I think it's Sally's. I think it's Frank Pepe's, and Tacanelli's was the closest
100%.
to getting up there for me.
Oh yeah, Angelo's in Philly, great. They got some good spots in Philly. They got some good spots. But I agree with you on New Haven. I swear by New Haven.
My mentor was a guy named George DeLeon, and he was a great offensive line coach. He was the coordinator at Syracuse for years. And when he passed away, we went to New Haven, his hometown, and we didn't know how to honor him. So we got like Paul Pasqualoni was there. A bunch of coaches were there, and we got about 200 pizzas. We got them from Modern. We got them from Frank Pepe's. We got them from Sally's. It was like, you know what? A life well lived, a great coach. We honored him with New Haven pizza back in his hometown.
Yeah, we had a pizza festival this weekend. They were all there. It's like 40 of the best pizzerias. The three you just named were there: Modern, Pepe's, Sally's, Lucali, John Zableeker. It's the best of the best.
I love John Zableeker's. We went to we played in the bowl game in New York City, and I got a bunch of great kids from all over the country. But I don't have everybody from Manhattan, so we went down. They took us down to my captains. We went down to Stock Exchange. And we had to get up to walk through in Yankee Stadium. I said, I don't care. We're going to be late. Tell the team to start without us. And I took them to John. I was like, you guys have to try. I mean, I know you've been eating some pizza. You have to try real pizza. Because until you've had it, you don't know.
Even when I'm in Lincoln, people will be, or anywhere, like this week, Salt Lake City, they'll be like, oh, great pizza here. Listen, I'm sure it's good, but it's not going to be, East Coast pizza.
There's no. Can you even just go get a slice of pizza somewhere, or do people just expect you to review it? Do they walk up to you with a camera and say, "Hey, Dave, what do you think?" Or can you just have a slice?
Yeah, I don't eat pizza for pleasure that much. Rarely. I'm generally filming when I eat it because I'm eating it every day. I have a lot of pizza, so I don't have it too much anymore where I'm just doing it on my own dime.
Best food cities, outside of pizza, but everything else. Like, you travel around the country. Like, are you swearing by Boston?
Boston's good. I mean, it's not some crazy formula. It's generally the better the city, the bigger the city, the more restaurants to choose from. So your big cities all, for the most part, have really good restaurants. Smaller city, maybe not as much. When we were in Nebraska, where did Will took me? He took me to a nice steakhouse. Showed up like an hour and a half late, so we didn't stay, but it was very good. Yeah,
I think you went to Casa Bovina.
Yes.
One thing we have great beef. We have great steak. The family who owns our collective, runs the collective, and they're unbelievably generous, and the steak's elite. So it's hard. Like, I go across the country. I go to Miami recruiting, and I go take my guys to a steakhouse, and we order steak, and literally was like $150 a steak, and I asked him where it was from. It was from Nebraska. We could have got this for $24, down here. So,
yeah, Miami's a great food city, though. There's a lot of good spots there too. Maybe expensive, but great.
No doubt. There's no doubt. So, what's you talked about some iconic moments. What have been the worst sports moments for you as the fan that you are? Like, what are some of the worst ones you've been?
The perfect season. The perfect season absolutely haunts me. That's because that may not happen again. They're big favorites, 18-0, lose to the Giants. The ball gets stuck on David Tyree's head, which is like a 1 in bazillion play. That hurt. And also with the Patriots, the year they were going for the three-peat, I thought they were by far the best team in the NFL. Brady had a very rare bad game. The Patriots had a rare bad game, like turnovers on special teams, and the Broncos beat them. Then they go and lose to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, I believe, wins the Super Bowl. Patriots are better than both these teams. So those two jump out as tough.
Obviously, you're passionate about football. Like, what are the things that football like you're most interested in? I saw something on social media. You were talking about like, play calling and offensive football and design. Like, when you watch football, how do you watch it? And what are the things that you like watching the most?
I mean, I grew up watching the game. I mean, lately refereeing has been driving me nuts. I do think it was a clip that I thought I could be a spectacular offensive coordinator. That was probably the clip you're talking about. I actually truly believe it. I'm not drawing up like the blocking schemes of the linemen. I'm saying, give me plays and I can pick like a pass play, a fade, a screen, a go route, or run, pitch, sweep, because I feel like so many coaches are so scared and have so much pressure on them. They're coaching almost not to lose rather than win the game. Maybe it's changed a little with analytics. I see more, but man, I feel like some of the play calling gets so predictable.
Yeah. Well, I think you're exactly right. I think that, we underestimate the pressure on people and the pressure, like, you're watching the game on TV and it says like, hey, 4th and 2, 70% they should go here. You don't have the iPad. Now you can have a book. We have a big thick book and some guy's reading it off to you like it says green go. But I mean, there's a lot more to it. And part of it, I love Bruce Arians. He would say, hey, no risk it, no biscuit. Like you gotta, like for me, I'm evolving as a coach. I hired Dana Holgerson. I've been a run the ball, play defense guy my whole career, and now we're like leading the nation in passing. I've had to evolve because the game is changing.
Yeah, and I always looked when Belichick was still with the Patriots, and I thought towards the end, after he had proven in this dynasty is established, he was at such an advantage because he's never going to get blowback. Like if he makes a bad call or does something that costs the game, yeah, you'll get something in the media, but it's not costing a job. And most people are going to be like, shut up, he's a genius. Where you have new coaches, and if they make a daring call that blows up, that really blows up in their face. People are calling for your head. So I do think winning and having like enough comfortability that your job is safe and you've proven is a huge advantage in coaching.
There's no doubt. Like, I went to the NFL and I was the college guy. So immediately the players are kind of looking at you with like one eye, like to the side, like, all right, what's the college guy going to be like? So you're not coming in with that street cred. And then I'm not a play caller. So you don't have like that guru, like, oh, well, he's Sean McVay, Kevin, and that's deserved by those guys. Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell. So they're kind of looking at you, and then, then COVID kind of hits, and you're like, they don't really get to know you. And I learned right away, like, if people think you're a great coach, they're gonna buy into what you're doing. If they're not sure, they're gonna kind of look. And I'm talking about like from the administration, like the GM to the fan base to everybody. And I get that. Like I 100% get that. It's amazing how many great coaches in the National Football League have been fired and restart and have success. Andy Reid, he's in the middle of an amazing run. I was in Philadelphia. I took my son to a Patriots-Eagles game when I was an assistant at Temple, and they started chanting in Lincoln Financial Field, "Fire Andy." And my son he didn't know. He starts chanting it. I was like, no, stop. Next thing you know, there's 50,000 people chanting for me to get fired in Carolina. My son sat on the sideline. I said, you did the same shit, bro. Like they say, you did the same thing. It's just part of it. Belichick's second job, he has this elite success. But to your point, like they have to believe that you know what you're doing for people to like really go all in with you.
Yeah, 100%. And then even other players, like that was always a thing with Belichick. You get a Randy Moss, a Corey Dillon. You get guys who have this reputation like problems in the locker room, don't listen. And then it was always, well, they'll come to New England, they'll fit right in. You got Brady, you got Belichick. They're not going to rock the boat. And then you get the most out. They both were superb. They were superstars with us.
That's right. Does it ever bother you as a Patriots fan when people are like, trying to dissect, after the fact? They have this amazing, historic run, and they're trying to dissect, is it Brady? Was it Belichick? And even Brady, you'll hear Brady, he'll say like, hey, you need coaches to develop you so you can become a great player. Like, does that narrative bother you, or do you buy into it? Where are you at with that?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like seeing your kids fight. Like, and it goes with Brady, Kraft, and Belichick, and we love them all. Now, is it unusual? I don't think so. Like Montana left with Steve Young, Favre leaves. You have these quarterbacks. It's almost like a band, like a wildly successful band. How many times do you see at the end of their run, they break up and egos become something? So it bothers me, but I don't think it's unusual to the Patriots. I mean, look at the Bulls, the Last Dance. These great teams, you're together so long. I just think personalities start rubbing, credit starts, who gets it. So I don't like it, but it certainly doesn't surprise me. I don't think it's unique. I think it's actually more surprising if it doesn't happen.
That's a great point. I love there was a clip of Brady just the other day, and he was talking about how quick we are to judge quarterbacks, and he was saying, like why don't we rate the offensive coordinators? Why don't we rate the quarterback coaches? Why don't we rate who's developing the guys to become great players? And you watch the way that he played the game. Like when I was in the NFL, I felt like even when I was an assistant at the Giants, I felt like there were quarterbacks who were running the offense. Like Tom Brady, hey, he's not going to be in a bad play. He's not going to run a play into a blitz. And then, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, we played Green Bay during COVID. There's no one in the stands. We flush him out. He's running to the sidelines. He gets horse collar. They don't call it. There's a bunch of trash talking. He looks at our coordinator. He goes, you better tell your post player to stay in the middle of the field. I'm on the iPad on the way home. And sure enough, as he's running for his life, he sees the free. I'm like, these guys are savants. And then you got a whole mess of quarterbacks who are just playing the play that's called, right? Like they're not running the offense. I hope we get some of those I hope we continue to develop those quarterbacks because we need great quarterback play for the NFL to be what it should be,
Yeah, well, we got one in Michigan. You're going to find out about that on Saturday, I think. But it is an interesting question. Like, would Brady, if he was drafted by the Browns, be Brady? Like some of these franchises who have been dormant and horrible forever, quarterback, like you NBA, Michael Jordan, Larry, LeBron, those guys, 5 guys on the court, they're probably going to be spectacular no matter what. I don't know that that's the case with football. It's the situation, the coaching, the line, everything kind of has to gel. So you never know.
That's right. And you mentioned obviously Michigan's quarterback's a great player. We 5-star top recruit in the nation. We signed Dylan a year ago. We played last year we played a freshman, and everyone was like, "Why would you ever play a freshman?" We had some great transfers coming in, and I just said, "I'm going to play the long game. I'm going to play him as a freshman, and then plan on winning with him as he develops and grows." There's nothing like experience. I think the one thing is I look at the quarterbacks in the NFL that I have a lot of respect for. Tom Brady, he gets, kind of has that thing with Drew Henson where he gets drafted late, right? Aaron Rodgers, he goes to junior college, he goes to Cal, he holds the ball up here. Drew Brees, comes out of Purdue where he has to. Mahomes is at Texas Tech. The best season was 7 wins. These guys went to places and they had adversity, and so when they got to a bad organization, if they went to one, they were prepared for handling adversity. I watched so many guys that are they're like a 5-star recruit. They go to a great place. They win for 3 years, and then they go get drafted by the worst team in football. And all of a sudden now, for the first time in their lives, it's not easy. That was kind of my pitch with Dylan. Hey, we're building this thing. You're going to have to win games for us. I'm not going to be able just to hand the ball. I think there's something to that. I think there's something I think what you did with Barstool. You guys built that. That wasn't handed to you. No one handed you this empire. You built that empire. Is there still room for grit? Is there still room for, toughness in today's football, or is everything just your personal brand?
It's hard to tell with quarterbacks because when I was growing up, it didn't matter if you're the number 1 pick in the draft. You didn't really play right away. Like Cam Ward's playing right away. Right. And you're generally on bad teams, obviously. And I don't know, this is something I've always heard, but it's almost like in horse racing terms, you don't want a horse to see he's got beat. But if you have a quarterback that's just getting pounded, whether that changes the quarterback, it changes their confidence, how they read, and it's you can't get that guy back. And I don't know if there's something to it, but in today's football, these guys they're getting thrown right to the wolves instantly.
Well, and look at the guys who didn't get thrown right to the wolves, right? You got Drew Brees got traded. Tom Brady was the backup until he got spurned into play. Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith for a year. Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre. So, like, it wasn't too long ago that we were actually doing this, And you mentioned earlier about coaches.
And interesting ones like Baker.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like Baker drafted the Browns, flames out. Now look at him. He's playing as good as anyone in the league. So it's situation and so many factors.
Yeah. And, I had Baker in Carolina, and obviously he came in my last year, and he didn't come in until the day before training camp. Like, we didn't get him until so he had to learn a playbook. And the thing, though, was every single day with him, to your point, he went through what he went through, but it gave him more edge. He wasn't beat down. Like, he was pissed. And so I got fired the next day. My wife's getting a sandwich at a store. He walks into the store to get a sandwich. He walks up, hugs my wife. Like, he wasn't like, he was a warrior. Like, he's a guy that's been an underdog he was a walk-on. I mean, the guy walked on at Texas Tech, had to walk on in Oklahoma. And that's why I always respected him. I was like, he goes to the Rams. His first game at the Rams, what's he do? He goes out and wins the game. He has a chip on his shoulder. It's like you said earlier about coaches. Some coaches are afraid to make the call. Like there's so much pressure. I think some quarterbacks are young. They're getting beat up. They're getting killed in the media, and they're broken down. That didn't happen. That didn't happen to the guys we just talked about. I think it's smart of Michigan to play a freshman. I think we were smart last year because that will pay off. That will pay off in the long run. Where will you watch the game at? Will you be working?
Yes, unfortunately, we're going to be at Utah. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the timing of it because Utah is different time zones. So we're there. There's a chance I was thinking about trying to fly in, but I don't think I'm going to make it. So if I did, I'd probably watch in Chicago. It's a big game. This is, to me, for us, a playing game. We already got one loss. Can't lose this game, Coach. You seem like a really nice guy, but we got to pound you.
You know what? I respect that, though. Like to the victor belong. And Biff's. It's kind of funny. Biff's a friend of mine. Like, and I like Sharon a ton. Like, I see him on the road recruiting. I don't know him super great, but Biff. I got fired in Carolina. He gets the Charlotte job, and him and I are like, I'm sitting there at the time. I was like, hey, if I might come over and be your assistant tight ends coach. I got nothing to do. Like, my wife doesn't want me in the house, and then I end up being blessed enough to come here. But no, I think to your point, like, I think it's really cool when like these iconic, even though we weren't rivals, like Michigan's Michigan, Nebraska's Nebraska. Now we got to get Nebraska back to where it's supposed to be. But we're in year 3, and I think we're making some progress. But even like you said, 2 years ago, they absolutely got it. After that game 2 years ago, we came in the next day, and we had a Friday night game against Illinois. I walked into the team meeting at 5 o'clock Sunday night and said, go put your pads on. I'll meet you guys outside. Either you play on Saturday or you play on Sunday. And we went out, and Dave, we scrimmaged for 2 hours, like tackle to the ground. And my sports science guy, his head was blowing up. And guess what? We won that Friday at Illinois. And Illinois is an excellent team. But like that was a kind of a turning point for us. That game was like, yeah, guys, we're not as good as Michigan is right now, 2 years ago. But like we got to battle, we got to compete. And I think that this for us is an unbelievable opportunity to see, like, hey, how far have we come in the last 2 years? I mean, we've been working at it.
Where were you? Now, that team 2 years ago, to me, was – and you even look for the Michigan, like, where some of the guys are and how talented that team was. Now, there are – I don't want to say the C word, cowards who wore 51 and went to Nebraska, who like to make excuses like signals, signs, this, that, which I've gone through with the Patriots. What was your take on that? To me, I think it's one of the greatest joke controversies I've ever seen. So
I'll always tell you how I feel. I won't say, like, I wasn't there for the 3 years before that, so I can only talk about that one game. That didn't affect us in that game, right? Like, I don't know who did what, but I do know the things that they did. I do believe, like, the one thing for me is, like, never touch the competition part of this. Like, steal signals the legal way, like, whatever. But, like, if there's something you can't do, don't do it. And it's the problem with college football. See, in the NFL, I mean, you got billionaire owners, you got elite GMs, alphas, but none of them are going to cross over the line because you lose a draft pick. In the NCAA, it takes 3, 4, 5, sometimes it's 5 years. I was at Baylor. We were under investigation the entire time I was there for what happened previous. So my thing is like, I don't mind recruiting violations, honestly. Like, hey, everybody, go get the players you got to get. Do it, because they've been cheating in recruiting for, not Michigan, but schools have been cheating in recruiting for a long time. I just did not like the concept of affecting the actual game itself. I'm happy we put the headset in because to me it's like, well, why don't we have with the like in college football we have the greatest example for how to build the best game. The NFL is the best game in sports. Like they have a headset, we should have a headset. Like why would and so now we have that. I think that's eliminated that. But again, I'm not one like to me I don't think it was right that happened. But at the same time, I am also not going to I'm going to worry about me. I got to get Nebraska to be good. And that didn't affect me. So I just kind of was like, hey, I don't think it's right. I think it's wrong if they did this. But I'm going to move on and just coach my team.
The only thing, first of all, I disagree. I don't think it had anything to do with it. The only thing I disagree with when you're like, well, the NFL, because the Patriots were accused of cheating like 100 times. Spygate, Deflategate, you name it, same cameras. So in my world, you look at who are the most successful teams. You got the Patriots, you had the Astros, Michigan when they won. What do they all have in common? The people they beat were like, wait a minute, you can't be beating us fairly, so we're going to come up with something.
But I don't know much about that. Didn't the Astros actually do it, though? Didn't the Astros actually do it? I don't know. I don't know.
Beating a drum, but everyone's stealing signals. Like Connor Stallions is a Marine. He served this country.
I'm with. Well, I can tell you this: we did not go watch any Michigan games this week, and I know they haven't been here. It'll be fair and square. No, I'm with you. And I think, but I do believe one of the things that we have to account for is like whether it's Barstool, whether it's ESPN, what like you sometimes need these controversies to keep people as interested. People need something to talk about every single day. You have the whole thing right now with the basketball player and are they paying him illegally? Everyone's trying to get an advantage. I think the best thing the NCAA has done basically has been like, hey, you know what, guys? The rules that no one follow. I don't mind rules. It's just if you're not going to enforce rules, let's just get rid of them. Because they only punish people who follow them. Like, let's get rid of the rules.
I don't think it's an accident that since the NIL became legal, the SEC has come down to the rest of the playing field here. I mean, that goes hand in hand.
I agree with, well, I got to be careful how I say it, but I think to your point, it's the best thing that happened to a lot of it's the best thing that happened to a lot of teams. Like if you're at Nebraska, we have to recruit people from all over the country. You look at Michigan's classes; they recruit people from all over the country. Like we have a beautiful campus, we have a nice city. We need NIL. We need the funds, revenue to get people to want to come here to see it. That when they see it, they're like, "I'll go there," and then they have a good experience. So I'm with you. It's even things out. What the worst thing would be in college football is if the only good football is like in the Southeast and in Texas and in like the North. Like we need good teams on the West Coast. I wish you guys were coming. I thought Big Noon Fox was going to come to this game. I was prepared. I was preparing.
Yeah,
I was like, hey, Dave.
They don't have the game. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why. I was thinking I was hoping we were going to do this live in my office, and it, it doesn't work out. I don't know how TV works, but I do think at least it's good that it's in Utah. Utah's a great football team, and so just think how the Pac-12 could have died. But you know what? You never saw their games. It's 10 o'clock at night. They're kicking off. But football can't just become a South, Florida, Texas. We need it to be in the Northeast. You need Penn State. You need Boston College. You need Washington, Oregon. We need it to be all across the country because that's what makes the NFL so good. That's why the NFL is going to Europe. They understand, hey, there's a way more people that we have to get. I want college football to grow.
Yeah, and there is nothing like college football. The fan base is nothing like it.
There's nothing. It was funny for my kids in the NFL. I have a son who's 20, and I have daughters who they're 12 and 10, 13 and 10 now, turning 13. So they're at the time they're 8 and 10, and they think of football. They're going to the football game. They want to see the cheerleaders. They want to see the band. They want to see the team walk in. And you go to the NFL, and it's just such a different game, right? It's just unless you go to the Cowboys, you see their cheerleaders. There's no cheerleaders. There's no band. It's like the NBA, It's a great game, but there's something about the experience of being on a college campus and watching the game. To me, is second to none.
There is absolutely nothing like it, and especially at a place like Nebraska where no pro team. It is the pro team basically.
That's it. Yeah, when I was, it's funny, Dave. When I was in Texas, I was the head coach at Baylor. On my street, my next door neighbor was a Texas guy. Next to me was a Texas Tech guy. So when we won, there was still even my neighbors were pissed. If we lost, my neighbors were happy. Here, I don't care where you went to school. You are a Husker. You are going to this state needs football and volleyball. basketball. We got a run going right now here on sports. We need these sports to be good. And the whole state is behind Nebraska football. It's a pretty cool environment.
I will say I have become a Nebraska volleyball fan booster, so I do have to step in and give the Nebraska women volleyball credit that the basketball program and the football program, no disrespect, do not have the right to put themselves in the same sentence right now with the women's volleyball program. You got a ways to go to get there.
No, I have a ton of respect for her. It's funny. My wife has a business here in town, and she has NIL deals. It's a hair place for women. She has NIL deals with softball and with women's volleyball. I mean, that's how elite. I mean, we had 10 girls that could have gone this year to the Olympic showcase. That being said, I mean, you had, you told me it wasn't an overnight success at Barstool. That's just year 3 for me. So year 1,
yeah.
5 and 7. Year 2, got to a bowl game, won the bowl game. You got to build these things.
If you get there, you get there.
That's right.
I was in Nashville a couple of weeks ago. We have a bar at an event there. I walked out in the morning. The place was painted red. I was like, "What is going on here?" It was a women's volleyball game. They were traveling to Nashville for.
That's it. I'm going to tell you right now. I can take Jason Aldean's coming Thursday night. Now I won't go to a concert on Thursday night. I could get a suite at Jason Aldean easier than I can get tickets to the women's volleyball games. I mean, they are sold out. They have a 2,000 person waiting list for tickets, and I think last year like 32 season ticket holders came off. The energy, the action, and again they're dominant, right? Like I went and watched them. We had a AVCA and they played Stanford, played two top 10 teams, and we're just dominant. It's just it's so impressive, and they travel. To your point, speaking of Nashville, what about Vanderbilt? What about places like that are not, they get the quarterback, they get Diego Pavian, and now all of a sudden they're just rolling. What's the secret? How are they doing that? He's done a great job there, Clark Lee.
Yeah, I mean the quarterback, which makes you think, because I go to assume for NIL he wasn't there. There's so many schools that need quarterbacks. How did he end up at Vanderbilt? But yeah, he is an electric player. It'll be interesting to see what they do the rest of the season, what they do when he leaves, because I mean that's a doormat program for as long as I've been alive. And look at them now. They're winning big games and must-see TV with him at quarterback.
We played them my second year at Temple, and we beat them 42-7. We played them in the bowl game at Baylor, and it was a barn burner. It came back to the end. They've had some moments, but what they've done, Clark Lee, and they hired Jerry Kill, who was the head coach of New Mexico State, and he brought Diego. But I think it speaks something. We talked NFL, college, high school. If you have a quarterback, you have a chance. And if you have a quarterback that the guys will play for, you can tell that guy's got swagger. Even though the whole thing with his mom, Theo Vaughn, and then the kids tweeting yesterday, no moment's too big. I mean, he took some shots at us this summer. We're sitting over here why is everybody swinging at us? But we got to bide our time. We got to wait till our moment comes.
Well, that's because your boy Compton's out on the internet writing checks that his ass can't cash.
I can't wait to talk to him. I went from I'm going to dap him up and say what's up to now I'm going to be like, hey, I need to talk to you about. I need some money. I need a check.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So what do you? So all right. So let's get to the business of this. What do you have as a score for this weekend? What do you have as the score in our game?
So I love the quarterback. I the first 2 games, he didn't run once. I'm sure you've seen the film, and by all accounts, he runs like a 3.4 40, and he's Superman. So he finally ran last week. He had 100-something yards. I think Michigan's good. I don't think you guys are there yet. I'm going to go 34-24 Michigan. I just love this kid. I think he's, and I know you like Rhule. I think this guy's like a Hall of Fame quarterback. I think he's got it all. And that's not just because I played a factor in recruiting him. The throws he's made, he's got like a laser on his arm. He's so fast, but he's got to run the ball. So we'll see I don't want conservative play calling. What's your prediction?
Well, I'm expecting us to win. The score doesn't matter to me. It could be 200 to 199. It could be 7-6. I will say I feel like on our end, people have taken the easy way out with Dylan, with our quarterback. They're just like, the Mahomes thing, and it's just like they just like even when the TV's done our games, it's like that's the easy thing. Meanwhile, like the kid's completing 78% of his passes. He's a winner. He's playing hard. He's running the football. I just feel like they should just forget all the other stuff and just watch the tape, make it about the football, because I think he's played really well.
Yeah, so I was very impressed in the beginning. I thought I tailed off a little bit towards the end of the first year. I will say, coming from the media, it's easy to be like, forget the Mahomes thing. But how can you forget the Mahomes thing? It's like the craziest thing I've ever seen. So I get somebody like, why do you talk about Mahomes? Well, he's identical. Like everything he's doing is identical. So it's hard to just forget it. But no, I was impressed by and large with them all of last year.
Yeah. Yeah, credit to both guys. It's really hard to play as a freshman in college football. And especially, the one thing people are not giving enough credit to the Big Ten is like, we're sitting here right now, like twice this year, we have to go to the East Coast. We go to Maryland and we go to Penn State. We got to fly back and then play on Friday. And you're playing in cold weather. You're not playing in 80-degree weather every game. We have a wind that comes in our south end zone. Like last week, it was 25 miles an hour. And I think that's why guys who play in the Big Ten, they'll be more ready for the National Football League as a result of playing in the weather. And we go to UCLA. Who knows what time we'll play? What time? Like that takes a toll on a young player. It takes a toll on their body. So I think both guys, credit to them, they're winners. And
You're going to get absolutely no sympathy from me for saying you have to go to UCLA.
Well, you got it. I'm just talking about the travel, right? Like I feel like the Big Ten, we should be touting this. Like, I think the Big Ten, when you look at the conferences, like, everyone has, like, their teams that are in the top 10, right? Top 15. The strength of the conference and what the SEC has done so well is like, hey, look how good these guys are. Look how good, A&M, and they are good. Look how good Tennessee, like, it's not just the four teams that have won. 4 teams in the SEC have won national championships in the last 25 years. Yet we talk about the SEC as a total. When we talk about the Big Ten, we've talked about the Big Ten as like Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. Now we've added an Oregon, US. Like, well, what about what Illinois is doing right now? What about what Indiana did last year? Like, let's talk about the Big Ten in total, the travel, the weather. That's been my point all along. It's the most like the NFL of any league.
Yeah, and the Big Ten is very deep. I could buy into the SEC thing maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago. Top to bottom, the Big Ten is the toughest conference, especially with this expansion. The travel, that's the new age college football. Like, I wouldn't want to be a USC, Oregon, or UCLA. I mean, that travel is crazy for a college kid, but that's the new dynamics we're in here, and it does make it a very tough. Like you said, that's an NFL type thing, but they're not pros theoretically. I mean, they sort of are because they're getting paid, but it's tough, brutal schedule.
Who's your early pick for the Final Four in college football? Who makes it to the last 2 games, and who makes it to the national championship game?
Well, you're not going to ever get me to say Michigan's not going to go anywhere. So I'll say Michigan. Ohio State obviously looks pretty good. The quarterback looks good. I think they didn't play great last week. The SEC is confusing. I mean, that was a great game with Tennessee and Georgia. Penn State, can they get over the edge? It's wide open. There's so many teams that are available right now. Texas hasn't looked good. I think Arch will figure it out. Notre Dame, something tells me Notre Dame will run the table even though they're 0-2, and then they'll get in even though people say they can't. Oregon obviously looks great. A lot of teams out of the Big Ten, but who knows? Like, the thing about last year, Ryan Day is probably fired if they don't change the playoff system. Like, they're a third-place Big Ten team. You lose to Michigan as a 20-point favorite. That fan base isn't going to take it. But with this new playoff, they turn around, get hot, run the thing, and he wins a national championship. So it's totally changed the dynamic of college football because of the tournament aspect of it now.
I love the fact that you said the tournament. When I went to the NFL, the guys that had been there a long time, when they talked to me, they'd say, just get in the tournament. Just get in the tournament. Don't worry about anything else. Just find a way into the playoffs, and it just becomes a tournament. And then it's who's hot, who's healthy, you look at the road some teams had last year and the road other teams had. It was I mean, it kind of just depends on how it fell. And sometimes it was better not to have a bye. It was better to play the first round game, get a win, get hot. It'll be really interesting to see as we move forward. I'm interested about what they'll do with the next expansion. Would you like to see one more CFP expansion?
Not the way it went last year. I got to see how it goes because those early games were blowouts. So are we just scheduling more to be blowouts? I didn't have a feeling last year like anyone had some huge gripe for not getting in the playoffs. Like this wasn't a Florida State when they're undefeated and then get in, and that's crazy. Like how do you tell a kid you went undefeated in a major conference you don't get a chance to compete for a national championship? If you're the 13th team out, be better. Like you can be better during the regular season to get in. So I don't need the expanded.
I appreciate your time, man. I've enjoyed having the chance to.
Let me put you on the spot.
Go ahead, please.
Can I put you on the spot? You always answer honestly. So for this season, Nebraska is playoffs the defining success if we make the playoffs, not success if we don't.
Yeah, I think just like you said, you can't say that Michigan's not in. I think I have to say that. And here's why. When I was at the Giants, I remember interviewing at the Giants with Jerry Reese, the general manager, for I was assistant O-line coach. This is the year after the game you talked about, after the 18-0, the whole thing. And they just won the Super Bowl. And I remember him saying to me, Matt, we're not going to win the Super Bowl every year, but we have to come down the stretch as making a run to make the playoffs and go get to the Super Bowl. We have to be relevant every year. And so when I got here, I was like, hey, we're not very good. We hadn't won all 3 non-conference games since 2016. We've now done that 2 years in a row. Now we have to start beating the teams that we have a chance, like a game like this magnitude. It's a game. I know we're underdogs, but it's not like a 20-point line. I don't talk about lines very often, but you know what I'm saying. And so it's like, all right, now you have to start to compete in these games. So I feel like we have to get to the playoffs, and we have a good team. So I am approaching it that way. Like, hey, we're trying to make the CFP because once we make it in, we're the type of team that play a home game here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Imagine what that would be like. The weather, the fan base. So yeah, I think for us to be successful, we have to make the college football playoff. If we finished 9-3 and we didn't get it in, we got better, but we would be disappointed. And so that's, to me, a success, is making the college football playoff. I had to think about that's a good question. I had to think about how to say that because that's certainly our goal. I just think one of the things I got to do, Dave, is we can't have low expectations and then expect our guys to go win. So my thing has been, okay, It's year 3. We had a tough year, a bowl year, won the bowl game. Now it's make the damn jump. Stop. Let's not wait for everyone else. Let's not complain about the schedule. Let's not complain. Let's make the jump. And we're either going to get rich or die trying. so I'm kind of going all in on it.
Well, I wish you nothing but bad luck this Saturday and the rest of the season. I hope everything goes your way.
Well, I'll just say this: when the next time you come here, I'll make sure that you get right into the stadium, so you won't get stopped at the front door again. I got your back on that one. I really appreciate you coming on here. I'll tell you what: I love dogs, I love food, I love sports. And I just think in a world where everybody always trying to find the things that separate us, you love Michigan, I love Penn State and Nebraska. But you know what? We got a lot of things in common, and so it's been fun talking ball with you, brother.
I appreciate it. Talk to you soon. Good luck.
All right, man. Thank you.